Your mind just wandered. Again, you were reading this sentence, but somewhere between these words, you drifted. Planning dinner, replaying a conversation, checking if you lock the door. You don't even notice it happening anymore. It's constant. This internal leaving, this perpetual half-presence, like living with a child who runs away the moment you turn your back. Exhausting. The ancient monks noticed this too. 2,500 years ago, sitting in caves and forests, they watched their minds scatter like startled birds. But they discovered something. The mind isn't broken. It's untrained, like a puppy that hasn't learned to sit. It wants to obey, craves structure, but no one taught it how. So it runs wild, chasing every thought, every sensation, every passing distraction. And you suffer, not because life is hard, but because your mind won't stay where you put it. I found their methods 3 years ago, not in a monastery, in my apartment, after a breakdown that looked like success from the outside but felt like drowning from within. I couldn't finish a book, couldn't watch a movie, couldn't have a conversation without my mind sliding away mid-sentence. I thought I had attention deficit. Turns out I had attention neglect. I'd never trained my mind, just expected it to work, like expecting to run a marathon without training. The monks had a different approach, not forcing, not fighting, training, step by step, breath by breath, until the mind learned to stay, to focus, to obey not through dominance but through patient, persistent practice. What I am about to share changed everything, not immediately, not magically, but completely. These aren't meditation tips. This is the actual architecture the monks used to build unshakable focus, to train wild minds into instruments of clarity. And it works, not because it's ancient, but because it's true. The first technique, counting breaths, sounds too simple to matter. That's what I thought. But the monks understood something we've forgotten. The mind learns through repetition, not through complexity. They taught beginners to count breaths, 1 through 10, then start over. Inhale, 1. Exhale, 2. Inhale, 3. Nothing else. No visualizations, no mantras, just counting. I tried it. Got to 3 before my mind wandered to my grocery list. Started over. Got to 5 before thinking about an email. Started over. Got to 7 before planning my weekend. This was humbling. I couldn't count to 10 without my mind escaping. But the monks said this was the point, not to succeed, to notice. Every time you realize you've wandered, you've just strengthened awareness, like a muscle contracting. The wandering isn't failure. Noticing the wandering is success. So I kept counting. Days turned to weeks. Slowly, something changed. I'd reach 10, then reach it again, then again. My mind was learning, not to never wander, but to return faster, to stay longer. The monks explained it like training a horse. First, the horse runs everywhere. You can't control it, but through patient repetition, gentle correction, the horse learns that staying feels better than running, that focus is actually restful, that obedience to your direction creates freedom, not restriction. Counting breaths taught me the foundation of all mental training. Return, not perfection. Return. The mind will always wander. That's its nature. But trained minds return immediately. Untrained minds wander for hours before noticing they've left. This single practice, done for 10 minutes daily, began changing everything. Conversations became easier. Reading became possible. Work became focused. Not because I'd gained some supernatural power, but because I'd finally taught my mind the most basic skill, coming back. The monks were right. Simplicity isn't weakness, it's foundation. The second technique, noting. This one felt strange at first. Whenever a thought appeared, I'd label it. Planning, remembering, judging, worrying, just a quiet mental note. Then return to breath. The monks said thoughts have power only when we believe they're us, when we identify with them. Noting creates distance, reminds you that you're not your thoughts. You're the awareness watching thoughts appear and disappear. I started noting during meditation, thinking about work. Return to breath. Feeling anxious. Return to breath. Hearing traffic. Return to breath. At first, it felt mechanical, but something profound was happening. I was learning to observe my mind instead of being my mind. The monks taught that most suffering comes from this confusion. We think we are our thoughts. So every worried thought makes us worried. Every angry thought makes us angry. Every anxious thought makes us anxious. But when you note, you see clearly. Thoughts are just weather passing through. You don't become the rain. You watch it fall. After 2 weeks of noting, I noticed a shift in daily life. Someone would say something annoying, and I'd see the angry thought appear. But I'd note it. Anger. And suddenly, I had choice. I wasn't forced to react. I could watch anger, acknowledge it, and choose my response. The monks called this decentering, moving your identity from the content of consciousness to consciousness itself. From the movie to the screen. The movie keeps playing, but you're no longer trapped in the plot. You're the space in which the plot appears. Noting taught me I wasn't my racing thoughts, my worries, my plan, my judgment. I was the quiet awareness watching all of it. And from that awareness, I could train my mind, guide it, direct it, because I was no longer lost inside it. This wasn't philosophy. It was practical freedom, the kind that changes how you experience every single moment. The third technique, anchor word. The monks gave beginners a single word to hold: calm, peace. Here, something simple. When the mind wandered, return to the word, not by thinking about it, by feeling it, silently repeating it until it became more than a concept, until it became a present. I chose still, sat in meditation, breathing, and each time my mind drifted, I'd return to the word, still, not forcing stillness, just offering the word, letting it resonate. At first, nothing happened. The word felt empty, mechanical. But the monks warned about this. They said at first, you're learning the form. The meaning comes later. Like practicing scales on piano. Sounds mechanical until suddenly it's music. By the second week, something shifted. When I returned to still, I'd feel something. A quality, a texture. Like the word opened a door to an actual state. The more I practiced, the deeper the door went. The monks explained that words are like keys. They unlock states of consciousness, but only through repetition, through training the mind to associate the word with the state. Eventually, the word becomes a shortcut. You can be in a stressful meeting, silently think still, and something in you actually stills. This wasn't imagination. It was conditioning. The same way Pavlov's dogs learned to salivate at a bell, I was training my mind to access calm at a word. But unlike dog, I was doing it consciously, deliberately. I started using still throughout the day, in traffic, in difficult conversation, before sleep. Each time, my mind would recognize the signal, would shift, would obey, not because I was forcing it, but because I'd trained it, built the neural pathway through thousands of repetitions. The monks had discovered something neuroscience would confirm centuries later. The brain learns through association, and you can consciously create those associations. Train your mind to access any state you choose, not through willpower, through practice. The fourth technique, interval training. The monks didn't meditate for hours immediately. They started with 5 minutes, then rest, then 5 more. Like weightlifting, you don't start with 3-hour sessions. You build capacity gradually. I'd been trying to meditate for 30 minutes. Always failed. Mind too restless. So I tried their way. 5 minutes of focused attention on breath. Then 5 minutes of rest, doing nothing. Then 5 more minutes of focus. The rest period was crucial. The monks said the mind needs recovery, needs space to integrate. Pushing too hard creates resistance. But interval training builds capacity without force. After a week, 5 minutes became easy. I extended to 7, then 10, then 15. Each increase came naturally. No struggle, just gradual expansion of capacity. Like training for a marathon. You don't run 26 miles on day 1, you run 1, then 2, then 3. Building slowly until the impossible becomes inevitable. The monks understood that mental training follows the same principles as physical training. Gradual, progressive overload, rest, recovery, consistency over intensity. Most people fail at meditation because they expect too much too soon. Try to sit for an hour. Mind rebels. They quit. think they can't meditate. But the monks knew better. Anyone can train attention, but only through progression, through respecting current capacity while gently expanding it. By month 3, I was meditating for 40 minutes comfortably, not through force, through progression. And the focus I built in meditation transferred to everything else. I could read for an hour without distraction, work for 3 hours in flow, listen to entire conversations without mind wandering. The monks had taught me that attention is like a muscle. You can't force it to be strong, but you can train it to become strong through patient, progressive practice, through intervals that challenge without breaking, through respecting the process of growth. This wasn't fast, but it was permanent. Real capacity, built slowly, lasts forever. The 5th technique, environmental design. The monks didn't just train mentally, they trained environmentally. They removed distractions, created spaces that supported focus, made the outer world match the inner intention. I looked at my space, phone always nearby, TV visible, clutter everywhere, multiple tabs open, notifications on. I was trying to build focus in an environment designed for distraction, like trying to diet while living in a bakery. The monks were ruthless about environment. Meditation halls had nothing, just space and silence. No decorations, no sound, no visual noise, because they understood. Environment shapes mind, always. I started removing, put phone in another room during focused work, deleted social media apps, turned off all notifications, cleaned desk until only what I needed remained, created a meditation corner with nothing but a cushion and wall. At first, the emptiness felt uncomfortable. My conditioned mind wanted stimulation. But gradually, the space began working on me, the way the monks said it would. Without distractions competing for attention, my mind settled faster. Focus came easier. The external simplicity created internal simplicity. The monks taught that we're not separate from our environment. We're in constant conversation with it. Cluttered space creates cluttered mind. Distraction-rich environment creates distracted attention, not because we're weak, but because that's how consciousness works. It reflects what surrounds it. I extended environmental design everywhere, turned phone grayscale to reduce appeal, used website blockers during work, created phone-free zones in my home, made morning routine screen-free. Each environmental change removed decision fatigue. I didn't have to resist distraction. Distraction simply wasn't available. The monks called this removing temptation before the battle. Don't test willpower unnecessarily. Design life so the right choice is the easy choice. This wasn't about control. It was about intelligence, about recognizing that I'm human, and humans are shaped by surrounding. Train mind, but also train environment. Together, they create the conditions for focus to arise naturally, effortlessly, the way the monks intended. The 6th technique, compassionate persistence. This was the hardest lesson. The monks taught that when you fail, when your mind wanders for the 1000th time, when you skip meditation for a week, the response matters more than the failure. Most people fail and judge. I'm terrible at this. I can't meditate. My mind is too chaotic. The judgment creates shame. Shame creates avoidance. Avoidance prevents practice. Practice is the only thing that builds capacity. So judgment kills progress. The monks taught different. When you wander, notice without judgment. When you skip practice, return without guilt. When you fail, begin again without story. They called it falling down 7 times, standing up 8. Not as inspiration, as instruction. I learned this the painful way. I'd meditate for 30 days. Then life got busy. I'd skip a day, then another, then a week, and I'd spiral. I ruined my streak. I'm back to 0. I'm hopeless. The judgment created such resistance that returning to practice felt impossible. But the monks would say I was creating unnecessary suffering. The mind wanders. That's not personal. You skip practice. That's not failure. You return. That's success. They taught that compassion accelerates training more than discipline. Harsh discipline creates internal resistance. Compassionate persistence creates internal alliance. You're not fighting yourself. you're training yourself. Like a patient parent teaching a child. The child will fail constantly, but the patient parent doesn't give up, doesn't shame, just gently guide, again and again and again. When I learned to apply this, everything changed. I stopped having streaks, started having practice, some days strong, some days weak, but always returning, without drama, without judgment, just showing up. The monks were teaching something radical, that self-compassion isn't soft, it's strategic. It removes the friction that stops most people, allows the long game, the lifetime of practice, not the burst of motivation that burns out in shame when inevitably interrupted. Train mind, but train heart too. Learn to be kind to your struggling self. That's not weakness. That's how actual change happens. 3 years later, my mind is different. Not perfect, different. It still wanders, but it returns quickly now. I can focus for hours when needed, can be present in conversations, can sit with difficult emotions without fleeing into distraction. The monks gave me something more valuable than techniques. They gave me understanding. The mind isn't the enemy. It's not broken. It's untrained. And training, real training, is gentle, progressive, patient, persistent. Most people try to force their minds. Meditate once, expect mastery, get frustrated, quit, think they're uniquely broken. But the monks knew. Everyone starts with a wild mind. Everyone struggles. Everyone fails repeatedly. The difference isn't talent, it's persistence. Return, return, return. These 6 techniques built on each other. Counting taught return. Noting taught observation. Anchor words taught state access. Interval training taught capacity building. Environmental design removed obstacle. Compassionate persistence taught the long game. Together, they don't just improve focus. They transform relationship with your own mind. From adversary to ally. From chaos to clarity. From constant leaving to continuous present. I'm not writing this as someone who mastered these teachings. I'm writing as someone still practicing them. Daily. Imperfectly, but consistently. And the difference between who I was and who I am is everything. The monks didn't promise enlightenment. They promised training. Training works, not mystically, mechanically. You train, you improve. You don't train, you don't. Simple. What you do with this is your choice. The techniques are here. The path is clear. The monks left it for anyone willing to practice, not believe, not understand. Practice. Your mind is waiting, wild, scattered, untrained, but waiting, ready to learn, ready to obey, ready to become what it's always been capable of being, an instrument of clarity, a source of peace, a trained attention that serves you instead of running from you. The monks called this taming the wild horse. I call it coming home, to present, to focus, to the life that's happening right here, right now, while your mind was somewhere else. Begin, not tomorrow, now, one breath, counted, noted, returned to. That's where it starts. That's where everything starts. In this moment, with this breath, training begins.